The Celtics hold off the Mavericks, one win away from their 18th NBA title. Jason Tatum scored 31, Jaylen Brown had 30, and the Celtics held up a furious Dallas rally to win 106-99 and go up 3-0 in the NBA Finals. The Mavs' Luka Doncic fouled out with 4:12 remaining. Here's Perk with a strong take about Luka's performance.
Luka off the game. He drained his team emotionally. Even J. Kidd. It started from the tip, the complaining, every damn possession down, the falling on the floor, right? Not getting back in transition, not making a second effort. The bullshit fouls. Yet that was not a charge. Why even put yourself in that position? He tapped out and he left his team hanging. By far, the worst performance I've seen for Luka in the playoffs. Lack of energy, lack of leadership, emotions wasn't there. He went to bed at the crib.
Strong take right there. He wet the bed at the crib. Brian Windhorst back here with us and CJ McCollum here in studio. CJ, I'll start with you. What do you make of what Perk had to say? Was he fair there?
I think a lot of what he said was true. I think the delivery was a little harsh in terms of saying it was the worst career playoff game Luka has ever played in. But I think a lot of validity is there in terms of the effort not seeming to be there consistently, defensively having some lapses where I think the injury, the workload, him being the number one option for so long, facing double teams, I think all those things kind of factored into his lack of focus or lack of energy. He did have a couple fouls that he shouldn't have gotten, trying to swipe at the ball after a missed shot, a foul in Peyton Pritchard at 40 feet away from the basket. Those are the fouls that you can't have. I don't mind the fifth foul on him guarding Jaylen Brown. I don't mind the foul that he got on Jaylen Brown. That was number 6. Those shouldn't have been fouls 5 and 6. Those should have been fouls 2, 3, 3, 4. But I think that the moral of the story is Luka is so great. We expect more from him on the defensive end in terms of his effort. He's not going to just get stops all the time. This is a hard league to get stops in, but the effort has to be there. You have to force tough twos. You got to dig down and really show that you care on both sides of the ball. And I think historically, he's been so great offensively that none of these lapses have mattered. Now it's at the highest stage, so it's more magnified.
Wendy?
Well, I'm not going to deny. I'm not going to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Wendy. Go ahead, Wendy.
No. Go ahead, Stephen A.
I'm not going to deny that Perk sounded a bit harsh. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know there wasn't FCC airwaves, so there was no crime committed. But his delivery could be a touch softer. Big Perk, he knows that. But here's the deal: that was frustration seeping out of him, and the frustration was justified. Luka Doncic in the fourth quarter of these 3 game finals appearances, has shot 20% from the field, 3 of 15. He's averaged less than 3 points in the fourth quarter, and he has more turnovers and fouls than he does field goals. That's inexcusable. And then to be going off at the bench, at the coaches, screaming and cussing at them because you want them to challenge something they shouldn't even have challenged, knowing that you put yourself in that position because on at least 2 or 3 occasions you committed unnecessary fouls that were highly unproductive, way away from the basket, had no business doing those things. He put himself in that position. And I think for me, CJ and Wendy, and I said this earlier, CJ, before you came on, I don't think people are speaking enough about how Luka messed up the game for Kyrie. We're looking at Kyrie having 35. We're looking at him and how prolific he was last night. How he had his 20 points in the first half. How he hadn't hit any threes in the first 2 games of the series, going 0 for 8 from 3-point range. But then he goes ballistic last night. We're looking at that. Well, CJ, you know the game better than any of us. And on top of it all, you know what it's like to be on that basketball court, particularly against somebody as mercurial and as sensational as Kyrie Irving can be. And when you see him in his bag the way that he was, you get the ball in his hands. On too many occasions last night, Kyrie Irving would get to his spots or get into the lane, draw a foul, etc., like late in the game when he got those 3 free throws, right? Get him the damn ball. Luka would literally take the ball. He's slowing the pace. He's dribbling excessively. And then he's taking some contested shot that didn't end up going his way last night. That's why he only had 27 points with the 27 shots. Those are times that you give the ball to Kyrie. I saw him disrupting Kyrie's rhythm. I know Kyrie had a great game. It could have been even greater at times if Luka had just recognized, look, this is not my night. Things ain't going the way they customarily go, but it is for him. Just like it was going for me in the first couple of games, it's going for him tonight. Let me get him the ball and move out this brother's way because he's doing some special things right now. And I thought that Luka missed the boat on that.
Just want to follow up.
I think a lot of credit. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say quickly.
Go ahead, CJ. Go ahead, CJ.
Luka has played like
Go
this
ahead,
his
CJ.
entire career. He's been ball dominant. He's had the ball for most of the possessions. He's got a high usage rate, and he's averaged 35, 10, and 9 in the regular season. And they have won like that, and they've had success like that. I think for them, they're going to graduate into continue to develop more into what you're seeing from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You see the biggest shot of the game, I think, was Jaylen Brown waving Jason Tatum off to the corner, Jason trusting Jaylen to have the ball at the top of the key, being able to get the switch, getting into his bag, getting to the mid-range shot, and knocking it down. They may not have been able to display that growth in years past. It's taken them 6, 7, 8 years to get to this point to where there's trust, there's continuity, there's consistency. Kyrie and Luka are only in year 2
That's not where I'm
together.
going, CJ. That's not where I'm going, CJ. You're absolutely right in your synopsis of what what Luka brings to the table, how he plays. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying last night was one of those instances. If it's game 1 or 2 when everybody's struggling and he does the same thing he did last night outside of the complaining, no problem. The problem is that even though you were going at that rate last night and it wasn't necessarily your night, you saw it was Kyrie's. And when you see that in the second half, knowing that he's in his bag and that he's flowing, I'm saying at that moment you deviate a little bit from what you customarily do because you're seeing something special from him. Feed him. Move out the way.
Is largely a result of what the Celtics have got in their game plan, which is to relentlessly attack him defensively. And it's harder. I know that happens in every game, but the reason it's harder in this series is because Luka can't find a player to rest on. There's no weak link in their offensive set that he can not have to worry about. Even last night, Sam Hauser. They put Luka on Sam Hauser because they thought at one point, well, that's the weak link. We don't have to worry about him. Sam Hauser's hitting threes over the top of his head when he's standing still. So part of what's going on here is that the Celtics are such a complete team with such a tight game plan that they are blasting open the weaknesses in the Mavericks. And they blasted open the weaknesses in every team they played this year. They are 79-20. When you include the regular season and the postseason. They haven't lost in a month. The last time they lost a game was on May 9th, okay? So part of what's going on here is we're reacting to the way that Luka is adjusting to the pressure that's being put on him by the Celtics. And that's why I think that moving forward, and that starts in Game 4 and even into the future seasons, what Luka needs to be doing today is getting past the anger or frustration he's got with the officials, getting past the anger or frustration he's at with the shots he's getting, and paying attention to what the Celtics are doing to get to him, and beginning to change the way he plays so that when this happens again, whether it's next year or 2 years from now, when he gets here, he's more prepared. That's what I want this to be. I want us to be on this show in 2 years, the day after Game 3 or Game 4 of the finals, saying, boy, do you remember what Luka went through in 2024 and how that made a difference? And to me, that's the challenge. And it starts for me in Game 4. I want to see Luka come out in Game 4 with a different type of mindset that he knows that he can't afford against a team like the Celtics to screw off with the officials, to lay back. I don't expect it, but I'd love to see it.
All right. CJ, thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate you. One-word answer here. You think it's a sweep?
Yes.
I'm on fire.